People. What made you realize you were poor growing up? I was 15 when I started working. It wasn't a conversation, it wasn't some teaching you responsibility thing. It was just expected. I got a job bagging groceries after school and weekends, and the first time I came home with a paycheck, my dad asked me how much I made. I told him, and he nodded and asked for half. I didn't fight it. I just handed it over. It felt normal. Most of it went to the family from then on. I didn't even think about it. We needed gas money, groceries, school supplies for my younger siblings. My mom would still make a big deal out of getting me a burger after my shift, and I'd act like it was nothing. But I was starving. I was always starving. At that age, you're growing and moving constantly, and I felt like I was burning calories faster than I could put them in. I didn't have time to dwell on it. My day started around 4:30 a.m. I'd get up early to make sure my brother and sister had lunches packed, their homework was in their backpacks, and the little one's hair was brushed so she wouldn't get teased. My mom and dad were already at work by then. I'd get the kids to school, then go to school myself, then straight to my job after class, then home again, where I'd try to get a little homework in between folding laundry or making sure someone bathed. On the weekends, if I wasn't working, they let me sleep. My dad wouldn't even let anyone knock on my door. I'd wake up to the smell of coffee and football on TV, and he'd toss me a look like, finally, and hand me a cup like I was his buddy, not his kid. It wasn't disrespectful. It was just that I'd become something else to them. Part son, part roommate, part teammate. They needed me, and I stepped up. There were no extracurriculars for me. I wasn't in clubs, didn't go to parties. I wore the same pair of jeans every day and kept them clean. When my friends got their driver's permits, I didn't. I couldn't afford the classes. One of them asked if I was scared to drive, and I lied and said, yeah, I wasn't ready. The truth was, I couldn't even imagine having a car to drive. My sister once asked if I minded staying home with them every Friday night. I told her I liked it. She believed me. I'd make them popcorn, we'd watch cartoons, and I'd pretend it wasn't weird for a teenager to be spending every weekend babysitting his own siblings. Sometimes my brother would fall asleep on my arm, and I'd stay in that position for an hour because I didn't want to wake him. I didn't realize how much I missed just being a kid until I was around other kids my age. But by then, I was already too far past it. College wasn't a goal for me. It was a word people used on TV. I didn't even take the SATs. I knew I'd graduate and just keep working. Maybe move into full-time at the store. Maybe get into maintenance, plumbing, anything stable. But my brother and sister, they had different plans. I made sure of it. I'd help with their homework. I'd go to their parent-teacher nights when my mom couldn't get off. I showed up to science fairs and spelling bees in my store uniform and cheered like a dad would. No one said anything, but I saw the looks. When I moved out, things were better for my folks. My dad got a promotion. My mom switched to a more regular job. My siblings never had to work in high school. They both went to college. They had laptops, internships, dorm rooms. I visited once and couldn't believe my brother had a mini fridge just for snacks. He gave me one of his sodas like it was nothing. I wanted to cry. Then came my brother's graduation. He was president of the SGA, giving some speech in front of what felt like 1,000 people. I was just trying to stay awake because I had worked a late shift the night before and driven 4 hours to be there. I figured he'd thank our parents, maybe a professor. He said my name, not our parents' names, not a coach or a mentor. Me. He talked about the person who packed his lunches, helped with math, stayed up when he was sick, made sure he never felt like no one was home. He said he owed me more than he could ever repay. I didn't move. I was frozen. And then I felt my mom's hand grab my knee. She didn't say anything. She just started crying. Hard. Not the quiet kind of crying. The kind where you try to stop but your chest keeps shaking. I looked over at her and she mouthed, "I'm sorry." I just nodded. That's when it really hit me. I had been poor. I had been a child working 2 jobs. I had been a stand-in parent, and no one, not my friends, not my teachers, not even me, ever called it that. It was just my life. But sitting there with my mom crying beside me, and my brother in a cap and gown calling me his biggest influence, I finally understood what it had all meant, what I had done, and what it had cost.